What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Modern Mortgage Show, where I interview mortgage professionals who share their stories and modern information about the industry. I'm your host, Rocco, and I'm super excited to introduce my guest. His name is Stephen Bellew, and he's a loan officer at Gold Financial Services out of Yale, Oklahoma. Stephen, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, Rocco.
Absolutely. I appreciate you being here. So, Stephen, why don't we just start off the show? Can you give us a little bit of about yourself and give us a brief intro of who you are?
Yeah, so I work with Gold Financial Services out here in Oklahoma. Our regional office is located in Oklahoma City, and then I service the Tulsa and Stillwater communities. So I have been with Gold Financial now for about a year and a half, and really love the experience that I've had here so far. Really great mortgage company with a lot of the things going on in the mortgage market today. I feel like Gold Financial has really stepped up to maintain its pace, and we are a direct lender with Fannie, Freddie, so we're able to still continue to offer a lot of the FHA, VA programs at the guidelines. So we haven't had to introduce any credit overlays, so still that 500 credit score minimum with FHA for borrowers with as little as 10% down, 580, 3.5% down. So just really been a great company. So thankful that I've been able to be a part of the company going through what we are today in the market.
Awesome. So how long have you been in the industry as a whole? I know you said you've been with them for about a year and a half.
Yeah, so I've been in the industry for about 2 years now. So I started out with another company for a short time. There was just some different situations that came up. The branch I was in actually closed down, and so from there I went to Gold Financial Services.
Okay, awesome. So did you do any type of work before you got into the industry?
Yes, I was actually a project manager for a residential construction company. So my role was I was heavily involved with the sales process as well. That's actually how I got introduced to mortgages. I got recruited in while I was working for the builder. So I was recruited into mortgages from there, dealing with the loan officers and the sales piece, and then managing the projects. That was my background.
That's interesting because my last episode I just did with Josh out in Virginia, he owned the construction company and then he got recruited as a loan officer when he was building or something for a client. So it's really interesting. It seems everyone has a funny story of how they got into the industry, but what made you, take up the opportunity and stick with it?
Yeah, so I always loved real estate. My whole family's background has been in building. I was working for my brother-in-law. He still runs the construction company, and so that's been my whole background is real estate. And my wife worked at a title company for 7 years. And when her and I first got married, I told her I want to be a realtor, and she goes, "I hate realtors." So she had some bad experiences and was like, "I don't think you want to be a realtor." And so I was like, okay, well, I won't do that. And then when the opportunity came up, I'd never considered being a loan officer, but the branch manager that hired me, started visiting with me about being a loan officer. And I was like, I really think I would like that a lot. And so it kind of fit with what I was passionate about already. And so I decided to try it out and wasn't sure. But once I started doing it, I fell in love with it. So
that's awesome. And you've been in the industry for 2 years now. So what would you say is your favorite part about your job, or what is the most satisfying or fulfilling thing about your job?
Absolutely. The most satisfying part of the job is just seeing the process evolve. So you start, you have these people and they want to buy this home and they're in love with the home, and you're able to take them from that to sitting there at closing with them. Although we can't sit at closing now because of all the social distancing. So that's actually pretty depressing because that's one of my favorite parts is sitting there at closing with the people I've been able to serve. So no, getting to see that process is something I just really love. It's
Yeah.
really fulfilling to see other people's excitement when they get to close on their house.
Yeah, it's definitely fulfilling and just very rewarding when you see what you do directly impact someone's life. And you touched on this. Obviously, you're not able to sit in on the closings now. So we're in a weird time right now. What are you doing to get past this uncertain period of time?
Yeah, so I think the best thing that we can do as loan officers and anybody in the industry in real estate, there's a lot of questions. People are, we're all dealing with this as something that's really new and foreign. There's a lot of uncertainty and fear. So the best
Mhm.
thing that I can do is to educate myself on what's going on so that I can be prepared to answer people's questions, like why is the market going crazy? Whenever the Fed, announced the rate cut to zero and everybody's like, oh, we can get 0% mortgages, being able to explain what that meant.
Yeah.
Or why when they were pumping in the billions of dollars into mortgage-backed securities, why rates were continuing to go up when theoretically people thought they should be going down.
Hmm.
So that's, I think, the best thing we can do in this industry. I have a mentor that her and I have been doing sessions every other week talking about how we can be a positive impact. And another element of that is, kind of actually stepping back from mortgages a little bit or real estate and trying to really offer some guidance and some help. So, I've talked about the small business loan programs, even though it's not something I personally offer. People have asked me about, well, what do you know? And so I've done some research on, like, okay, here's what here's what they're saying, and I'll send people resources or just anything I can do to help somebody that's facing a tough or challenging time right now. We're here to be a resource.
Yeah.
So my mentor, she's actually taken up cooking, like she's doing these videos about cooking and stuff. And so, just people are at home, they're having to cook more. So she decided to just, help people out, do something where she can be a benefit to people that, maybe are displaced, they can't buy a home right now. So that's really, what we've been trying to do is be compassionate and help people where they're at in the situations they're dealing with right now. And together we're going to be able to make it through this pandemic. It's going to end,
Hmm.
and then we'll be right back to doing what we love. But also super thankful we are still able to do loans. I've still been able to get people through the process, to help people go under contract, get people pre-qualified. So we've seen a little bit of a slowdown on that side, but really not a substantial hit.
Yeah. So basically, doing anything to provide value and just keeping in touch and staying, providing communication with your clients and your prospects. And do you have a prediction for what you see happening in the future when this all, blows over?
Well, let me tell you from my own personal thoughts. We are already ready for a bigger home. My wife and I are both working from home. My wife processes for me. So
Okay.
she took all that wonderful experience from working in the title company field and she brought that into mortgages. So she's my processor now. But her
Mhm.
and I are sharing a small office in our home, and we are ready for more space already. So I think my prediction through all this is people that are working from home, that are working remote, that possibly might be staying working remote,
Yep.
are going to be in that same position that we are, and realizing, oh, I've been gone 8 to 5 Monday through Friday and then have events on the weekends. I didn't realize how much I needed an upgrade on my house. We do need more space. So really, I think that's actually my prediction is once we get through this, we are going to see the real estate market really pick up, because real estate was strong going into this.
Yep.
That's what's different, people can't compare this to the 2008 recession because there was a lot of real estate issues revolving around that. And that's what's going on, what's been going on this time. The world was caught off guard by a pandemic that probably most people didn't think we would really ever face. Few people that did, Bill Gates, for example, but we were unprepared. So I think moving forward, the world as a whole is going to be more prepared for this type of a situation to evolve, and we'll be ready to tackle it in advance rather than retrospectively. And so I think once this all smooths over, I do feel like we're going to see a really strong real estate market come back, probably for the third and fourth quarter of the year.
Makes sense. Makes sense. So shifting gears here, when you first got into the industry 2 years ago, switching from project manager at a construction company and moving into the mortgage industry, what were some struggles or obstacles you faced, early on?
Yeah, definitely the struggles that I faced were, if anybody's out there and they're thinking about getting into the mortgage industry, the biggest thing is to find a company and a team that are, in for you, and their primary focus is the client. It's not about the numbers or, just making a sale. So that was really, I told you kind of briefly that the branch I was in kind of fell apart. There was a little bit of a lack of support there. And I think that was a big contributor to that. And so that, if you make it about numbers, I think you're destined to failure. But if you put people first, it really doesn't matter what you're setting out to do. This is applicable for any field. People first, you're going to succeed. I can't remember who said the quote. I should be able to tell you this, but I can't remember off the top of my head. But a famous author said, the best way to get what you want in life is to help others get what they want in life. So that's something that I have tried to implement in how I treat people. And I feel like that is the goal of our company, is not to be just about numbers, but to be about our clients and about caring for them, not wanting to get them into a bad situation, but to be able to really be coaches. You can get a loan from anybody, anywhere, basically nowadays. But to be a resource and a friend and a coach and a guide, it takes some time. So, for example, right now I'm talking with a young couple that needed help with their budget. So I agreed to look over their budget with them and, just help them to strategize a plan for saving and for, preparing to own a home and kind of getting them on the path to home ownership. And, as in this industry, and some people may not know this, but we don't get paid unless the deal closes. We get paid off commission here. So it's, when we take that extra time and you have somebody that's willing to take that extra time to invest in you, not knowing if they're going to get anything back, I'd say that's a great person to stay with if you're looking for a mortgage, or, if you're thinking about getting into the industry. That's a great company to look at, is somebody that's willing to do that. And that's what drew me to Gold. The regional manager, I knew him, and he had reached out to me, and he had helped me when I wasn't even working for him on multiple occasions. So, that's the kind of attitude that we want to approach life and work with.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Like you said, you can get a loan from anyone, but it's finding the right loan officer who basically holds your hand throughout the process, advises you, and educates you throughout the whole process, because they don't know, they're not as educated in the topic as obviously the loan officer. So that's huge. And you kind of touched on this, but if you were to talk to yourself 2 years ago when you were first getting into the industry, or just any loan officer starting out, what advice would you give to them?
Oh, yeah, to talk to myself or any loan officer starting out, it takes time. That's the biggest thing, is when you're in this industry, the way you treat people is the most key thing. So you start out committing yourself to always being honest. If you don't have the answer, just tell them. You know,
Mhm.
if you're talking to a realtor and they ask you a question you don't know, don't make it up. Just
Yeah.
tell them, hey, I don't know the answer to that, but I'm going to find out. And so I think because it takes time to build trust, you can't risk having that trust destroyed by giving somebody the wrong answer.
Hmm.
So if you don't know, we have to be brave enough and bold enough to admit. When I first started out, there was some realtors, because as loan officers, we do a lot of work with realtors, and
Yeah.
realtors refer people to us. And so we have to build that trust relationship with them that we're going to take good care of anybody that they refer to us. And I, try to let people know, hey, I'm new in this industry. So when I would be talking to a realtor, I would let them know, hey, I'm new to the industry. What advice can you give me? And they liked that from my perspective. That was pretty well received because you can come off like everything, or you can just be honest and say, hi, I don't. What do you know that could be a benefit to me? And so I still, being 2 years into the industry, there is a tremendous amount that I have to learn still. The mortgage industry evolves quickly, and especially with what we're going through now, we have seen a huge evolution in the way we do things, and we're having to watch things a lot more closely. And just really, really focus in on being able to be guides to our clients and to our realtor partners, because they don't know the ins and outs of everything that's been going on. So that's probably the key advice I would give to anybody, or to myself starting out, is to be patient, to always strive to do what you do with integrity and honesty. If you don't know the answer, don't pretend like you do. Be big enough to admit if you're wrong, if you make a mistake. Big things. I mean, with anybody, with your clients, if you make a mistake, best thing, own up to it, and own up to it quickly, and then work to resolve it. So
Mhm.
that's the best advice I can give anybody going into this role, or really any other role.
Yeah, being upfront and honest with people is always important. Um, and speaking of evolution and things evolving in the industry, technology has definitely revolutionized the industry. How has this affected you and your business?
Yeah, so technology is great. We have the ability now um, to do most of the loan process electronically.
Yep.
And it's been that way since I started. So I wasn't really part of the industry before it went that way. So I can't speak a lot on how things were. But I know the convenience of being able to go through a loan process. There's some clients that I haven't met them until we get to the day of closing. We've
Hmm.
done everything electronically, and it's been more convenient for them to be able to send me stuff and email, or upload it directly into my program, so it's accessible for me. And if they work 8 to 5 jobs, it's just so much easier for them to do that.
Yeah.
So the ability to work like that has also been a really big benefit to loan officers and realtors, as we had the safer at home rules. We could basically already do that
Mhm.
because we didn't have to have a tremendous amount of interaction with people for the most part. So yeah, technology has been really probably the saving grace going through this pandemic. I can't imagine how much more difficult it would have been if we didn't have all the technology that we have today.
Yeah, absolutely. And it definitely makes, tasks automated and streamlined and just allows things just to get done easier. And like you said, if the client's working 8 to 5 and you're working 8 to 5, then when is it going to get done? So it allows the whatever needs to be done on their terms and when they want to do it. And you don't always need to be available for them to get stuff done, like upload documents, like you were saying. Um, so are there any modern strategies that you're using in terms of technology or social media to scale your production, maintain better relationships, or just systemize your business?
Yeah, so we do use a CRM system, so customer relationship management. It's just a program that helps us keep track of any leads that do come in. You know, if we get a lead that comes in from a realtor, then that realtor gets tagged in the CRM. So when there's an update for that client, they get notified. You know, they get a text message when the appraisal comes back in, or whatever the milestone may be in the loan process. So we, definitely leverage our technology to keep everyone in the loop, and also to keep the files moving forward at as quick of a pace as possible, so that we can get people through the process. So that's the primary way. I do utilize Facebook for social media advertising. So I do post some advertisements on Facebook, highlighting different loan programs, and I get different leads come in through Facebook, and that's pretty much the main ways that I utilize the technology. So digital advertising through Facebook, and then also just as a campaign to kind of keep everybody in the loop through the process, and also to keep everybody involved with the loan on the same page.
What CRM do you use?
We use actually a couple. So we use Velma that integrates with our mortgage software, and then I use Mortgage Whiteboard externally.
Interesting. So where do you see all of this going in the future in terms of technology, and how it affects and impacts the mortgage industry?
Yeah, going forward, I think that we're going to see more and more integration of technology. Depending on what happens with pandemic, we're probably going to see more remote closings, more availability to do the entire process digitally, where possibly a borrower never has to leave the comfort of their home to purchase a house. So I definitely think that's the direction that the technology is leading us. And, we have to be willing to adapt, and also to know that it's really whatever makes the process the most convenient for our clients. That's what we want. But, as things have advanced, it's been our practice to be at the forefront of that, and then be able to guide our clients through making the best decisions. So, automation, there's a lot of automation that happens in choosing a mortgage with some companies. I still think that having a little bit of an old-fashioned insight and really diving into the borrower's needs, wants, goals, long-term, short-term, are really important whenever it comes to choosing what loan program to go with.
Yeah, technology is great. Like you said, it automates things, but there's always going to be that human element to it, like you were just saying. And let's go to the buyer side now and talk about that a little bit. So who do you work with primarily? Is it first-time buyers? Who's your primary customers, or just general?
I would say we do service a lot of first-time buyers. That's we service a broad array of people, but I do deal with a lot of first-time home buyers, and a lot of that goes back into the being willing to walk somebody through the process. There's folks that I start working with that they've never bought a home, so they really don't know what to expect. And it may take them 6 months before they are in the place where they can.
Yeah, absolutely. It's important to advise them, walk them through the process, because it is scary for them if they don't know, if they're a first-time buyer and they don't know how the process looks. So last question, what do you see as a big misconception or fear that your first-time buyers have before working with you?
Yeah, so I think that a lot of people still wonder how much money they have to have for a down payment. We are pretty rural out here in Oklahoma. So we do a lot of USDA loans, which is no down payment. So that's something that I still find pretty often, is people asking, well, I don't have 20% down. It's like, oh, you don't have to have 20% down to get approved for a loan. A lot of times, like I said, USDA, no money down. FHA, 3.5% down. There's the conventional programs that allow 3% down. So I think just educating people on what they need to have to start the process. That's probably been the biggest thing that I see that hold people back. Another one, obviously, is credit.
Yep.
And that's a pretty legitimate concern. So, we do work with a lot of people that come to us that are struggling with their credit, and we work really closely with a local credit repair specialist that helps a lot of our folks. But I spend quite a bit of time visiting with people on what factors affect their credit too. Just again, to try to be a resource. Young people especially don't really, maybe they've never checked their credit, or they just don't have credit. Someone with no credit history is a lot easier to help move forward in the process than somebody with low credit. But yeah, we spend a lot of time counseling people on, making your payments on time, and just, all the different things that factor in keeping their balances low on their credit cards, whatever it may be. We, try to offer different input to help people make good decisions so that they can be able to become a homeowner later on.
Definitely. So you would say down payment and credit are big misconceptions, because there isn't a one size fits all solution. Like you said, everyone has different needs, wants, goals. So you definitely have to listen to that, and then advise them on what you think is best for them in that case.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Stephen, I really want to thank you so much for coming on the show today. I appreciate your time, and I had a great time talking with you.
Likewise, Rocco, it's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. And thank you to all the viewers for tuning in and watching, and we'll see you again next episode.